I'm fuming with Altay Bayindir. I mean, it's such a basic mistake for a goalkeeper. And if there's one team in the country that you don't want to give an opportunity to take the lead and see out the game, it's Arsenal. We've got to cut that out. But we don't have a goalkeeper worthy of wearing the Manchester United shirt.
I kind of feel like we've been robbed already first game of the season. I'm not going to lie, because they didn't deserve to win that game. It's as simple as that.
I don't think Arsenal just turned up and had an off day. I think we made them look like that. I think the game plan was spot on.
You look at Cunha, you look at Mbumo, and they don't seem like they're going to succumb to the pressure of Manchester United.
What's happening, guys? Welcome back to Inside Devils here at Old Trafford for the first game of the season, a game in which Manchester United have lost 1-0 to Arsenal. Coming out of the stadium, though, guys, there's been a lot of positives, so we're going to get into it. Joining me, of course, is Ryan Statman Douglas. I don't know if you've got any stats off the dome.
Not off the dome. I'm not that good for
I'm going to challenge you to off the dome, of course. Angelina Kelly, of course, yes. And Mr. Crookie, talkSPORT's football correspondent, chief football correspondent as well. I'll start off in terms of, I don't remember losing a game against a team of this magnitude and feeling somewhat positive. It feels quite positive talking to fans. There was a lot of positives to take from the game, and we lost because of a stupid mistake in an area of the pitch that we know has needed improvement for the longest amount of time and still hasn't.
Yeah, I think it's mixed emotions for me. I've seen what Roy Keane said. You know, is this really where this club has fallen, that you lose at home to Arsenal, which would have been a cardinal sin not that long ago, but actually because the performance was so much better than what was served up for most of last season, you do come away thinking, well, actually, there's baby steps there. There's green shoots of recovery. I'm fuming with Altay Bayindir. I mean, it's such a basic mistake for a goalkeeper. And if there's one team in the country that you don't want to give an opportunity to take the lead and see out the game, it's Arsenal. Because defensively,
They're top.
they're the best team in the Premier League. There's a lot of talk of which number nines are going to come in and who's going to score the most goals. I would be amazed if we get to the end of the season and Arsenal don't have the best defensive record. They've got the dark arts. Obviously, David Raya was booked for a yellow card. They knew when to slow the game down. They didn't really go chasing a second goal. So to gift them the lead so early.
From a set piece.
Well, it's always from
Needless.
We did it in a friendly last weekend against Fiorentina. We've got to cut that out. But we don't have a goalkeeper worthy of wearing the Manchester United shirt. And I spoke to Ruben Amorim after the game. I said that we've got 2 weeks of window left. Any chance? And he said it's going to be difficult. And the reason it's going to be difficult is because I'm told Bayindir is on surprisingly good money. Andre Onana, if they were to get rid of him now, he's going to be a loss on the balance sheet. So therefore, that's a PSR issue. And unless one of those two goalkeepers goes, I don't think it's going to happen. And even when Onana comes back in, which surely he will next weekend, we're still not going to be confident we're not going to see that kind of error again. On the positive side, I thought Cunha was brilliant.
Excellent.
Yeah, he looked right at home in a Manchester United shirt. He looks befitting of a number 10 for Manchester United. And Mbumo, well, I don't think he's quite up to full match sharpness yet. I thought there were some good moments from him. Didn't really see enough for Šeško to make a call. Defensively sound, I thought Lenny Yoro was excellent again. I thought De Ligt
was absolutely outstanding on your Chris. Luke Shaw was excellent. Excellent.
So let's take the positives. It's a defeat. I think actually we'll learn more about how far United have come over pre-season next weekend at Craven Cottage than we will today. Because losing 1-0 to this Arsenal team is not the end of the world. It's not ideal.
Especially in this manner where we feel like we at least deserve the point, Ryan.
Yeah.
Right?
You know, I kind of feel like we've been robbed already first game of the season. I'm not going to lie, because they didn't deserve to win that game. It's as simple as that. They didn't deserve to win, and it's a stupid goalkeeper error that we know. All it is a corner that's been stuck on top of him. And I winced as it went in. Do you know what I mean? That's where we are. We've talked about it so many times about, look, there's been fantastic people that have come through the door. We know that, and we've spent money, which is fantastic. But we haven't prioritised the right positions. And we find ourselves now, we haven't scored a goal, by the way. But that's the same position as last year. And a stupid goalkeeping error has cost us a game. That's the same as last year as well. One thing I will say, though, is you said, do I have any stats off the dome? I do have one. Is 22 shots today from Manchester United. The last time we registered that amount against Arsenal was when we won 8-2. Right? But we haven't scored a goal today. It's as simple as that. But we need that front three, whether it be Šeško or Mount or whoever, to click. They need time to do that. But when you have a stupid goalkeeping error like that, all of a sudden, where's the goals coming from? That's what it does. It adds pressure onto the side. So I'm still fuming, to be honest. I'm still trying to come down from that goalkeeping error. How are we still here? And something like that has undone us.
Angelina, I know you're always very scathing, even when people are positive. But do you agree with Crook? Do you agree with the general consensus that there are more positives out of that game than negative today?
I'm actually quite positive. I told you, we had a show in the studio and you guys were quite alarmed at how positive I actually was. But
Yeah.
I think, listen, goalkeeping error. I was sat next to Crookie during that game, so you can only imagine, like, the energy.
Are you okay first?
Yeah, I'm all right. Like, I got a few accidental elbows, you know, from him throwing his arms up in the air and whatnot. But, you know, we're all right. We're still friends. But I think overall, listen, the goalkeeping error should not be happening. Like, should not be happening. Even your second goalkeeper. I mean, we were saying Tom Heaton, like,
Honestly,
Why isn't
I
he
don't know.
starting?
I don't get it.
Yeah.
I don't get it.
why are we not starting him? I think overall, when you look at that front three, which seemed quite fluid today, I think you look at Cunha, you look at Mbumo, and they don't seem like they're going to succumb to the pressure of Manchester United. They seem already, you know, obviously they're Premier League players anyway, but they seem, you know, very, very, very comfortable, which I like. And I think when you look at our performance last season, you know, the bottom half of the table, we got had by pretty much every single team. So if you look at kind of 12th and below, those are the clubs that we're going to have to compete with.
Yeah.
And I think that front three against a Burnley, against a Wolves, we're winning, in my opinion. So I think we can't really focus too much on those big teams. And I know this sounds silly because we're Manchester United, but you have to think we could beat those kinds of teams with this squad that we've got now and with this front three, because I think Mbumo, I think he looked really strong. I think Cunha, I noticed he was getting really frustrated at times when Mount wasn't giving him the right pass or anybody else. He was getting frustrated, and I kind of like that because that shows he's hungry. That shows that he wants a
He's
minute.
getting stuck into the Arsenal players as
Yeah.
well. Well, I live to see it.
And I mean, Šeško versus Gyökeres. I mean, we didn't see.
We weren't
much of
even on the
Šeško.
pitch on the same time.
Yeah.
It's what we always do as fans. We hype it up, and then they're not on the pitch at the same time. Gyökeres gets hooked, and Šeško's sort of like can't really get going yet.
Gyökeres didn't look fit, in my opinion.
No.
But I think looking at the United players, I think Luke Shaw was brilliant. I think he kept Saka very, very quiet. And this is not. I know that Luke Shaw gets fat shamed quite a lot. It's not a fat shaming thing. It's a fitness thing. Yeah. He looked brilliant. Lenny Yoro, he collapsed at the end of that game like he lost a World Cup final. I like that because that shows that he understands what it is to be a Manchester United player. Mount, I think, looked very promising.
Yeah, he did. No, he did.
That's the found that we're all hoping to see. We've not really been able to give him much of a chance so far. So I think that was a positive. So, yeah, I think overall, listen, it's frustrating. We have lost against Arsenal, but I think that we were the better team overall. Yeah. We had more possession. Our XG was higher. We had more shots. Fair enough, we didn't have, you know, loads on target out of those 22. I think we had 9 on target. But for me, there's a lot more building blocks. And I do think overall, you know, talking to Arsenal fans, you know, during the game and afterwards, they were like, you know what? United were a little bit unsettling at times. And when Ahmad came on, I had a lot of Arsenal fans messaging me like, oh my God, I'm getting nervous now. So I think overall...
They felt it. They felt it. And I think they will obviously be ecstatic because they've not played very well, defended really well, and managed to get out with 3 points. And if you're in a tighter race and you've got aspirations to do what they do, they will look back at 3 points like this and say, you get out of there with that.
Work out he was going for the title out of those.
Yeah, exactly. But we did still lose it. I just think for me, I look at my thing that was intensity. You know, you look at last season and you look at us sort of on the back foot, letting the game pass us by. It's been a little bit lethargic and showing people too much respect. And we might have shown a bit too much respect in terms of the team sheet. But I get what Crook is saying. It's like, it's Arsenal. You don't want to go too gung-ho, get opened up and your confidence is gone. You want to build into it and then bring players on. But that hunger to win the ball back was there. I don't think Arsenal just turned up and had an off day. I think we made them look like that. I think the game plan was spot on. I really worried that Casemiro and Bruno were going to get overshone by the likes of Zubimendi and Declan Rice. That didn't really happen. I thought actually Casemiro, to be fair to him, he wasn't the worst. He wasn't. In fact, it was Ugarte.
Wasn't the worst.
He wasn't the worst. Mate, Ugarte came on and dropped the level down about.
Ugarte was awful.
You know, and I think actually what is a bit of a concern is the fact that Kobbie Mainoo was overlooked, and that just says to me that in this type of game, he didn't fancy maybe the lack of athleticism. He didn't fancy it. But actually, you look at Ugarte coming on with no quality on the ball, it would have been better to bring Kobbie on.
I'd like to see Kobbie at Fulham next week. You know, they're not quite sort of Burnley and Wolves, as Andrew's been referencing, but I think they're a team that we need to go and beat, because if you go to Craven Cottage and you get rolled over, all of a sudden it's 2 defeats out of 2, and the positivity that we're all generating tonight falls away. Ahmad, I thought, made a real impact when he came on. I
Massive.
would expect him to start at Fulham as well. But you're right about the intensity. Minute 2, I think it was, when Brian and Mbeumo left Zubimendi in a heat. Welcome to English football. He was poor, by the way, Zubimendi.
He was. For how good he's been in
They were raving
pre-season.
about him in pre-season.
Didn't think he was great at all. There were mistakes defensively, forced mistakes, because Cunha and Mbeumo were leading the press, which is something I saw a lot of, particularly during that tour in America. So I did put it to Ruben Amorim after the game. There will be people out there, there'll be people watching this stream even, that want to beat United with a stick, because they'll say, well, they've just picked up where they left off last season. It's another Premier League defeat. But it was night and day compared to what we saw in Bilbao. And I said to you at the time, Bilbao has to be the nadir. You know, this is as low as it can possibly get.
You didn't say it quite like that, but you did say
Yeah, I don't remember watching it back like that either.
You didn't say it that calmly, but you did say it.
But this was a much better performance. And, you know, I am positive. I still think there's a couple of glaring issues when it comes to transfers. We've talked about that central midfield role. If he doesn't think Kobe is the answer, and I do get that impression, then who is? Because it's not Ugarte.
No.
I don't think he's quite quick enough.
No, it's not.
In
And it's
terms of
Casemiro.
pace and in terms of speed of thought for the Premier League. And obviously, as I've already referenced, the goalkeeping situation. I don't understand, and you're going to come for me here because he's a pal of mine. I've been his biggest supporter. Aaron Ramsdale
No,
cost a £4 million loan fee.
No, you're right. You're right.
Newcastle are sucking up his wages.
He didn't even play the other day as well.
Why have we not gone and done that?
And also, Kepa was sitting on their bench for £5 million as well. I don't
thought
get
the
it.
same about Kepa. It's significant.
But you're right. No, I'm not going to come for you. You're right. Because,
I'm
because
with
the
you.
goalkeeping department is so bad.
It's going to cost us points. It's
Yeah.
going to cost
Well,
us
it
points
has.
already
Yeah.
today.
Exactly.
And it cost us points when Onana comes back in as well.
Yeah.
You mentioned Luke Shaw, by the way. He looked trim. I saw him in the tunnel afterwards. He looked as lean as I've seen him. And actually, I was earwigging a conversation between him and Mason Mount and Declan Rice. And Declan said, we probably didn't deserve to win that game.
Yeah.
So they know they've got away.
They know. They know.
There you go. That's the inside Devils exclusive from the tunnel at Old
He was
Trafford.
being nosy where he weren't supposed to be. And what's that? What's that he said there? That's what we want to hear. But Ryan, listen, you said, let's talk about transfer window really quickly. Obviously, it is in the wake of this.
Yeah.
We've tried to commit or tried to look at what a deal looked like for Carlos Baleba. Big shout out to Crook. He's sort of breaking the fact that it's not going to be happening, and it's not what I wanted to hear from him, but it was true.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people that say, "Oh, you don't know." He knew, and then all of a sudden, then you get Ornstein, then you get Crookie was there. So shout out to you on that, Crookie, that's for sure. Bit of a trailblazer. So anyone who thinks otherwise, they need to get their ears and eyes checked.
Yeah.
But what does that mean for us? Because we're not going to get Carlos Baleba. That's the dream. Do you be non-committal on more funds in that area because it's not what you really want and he's going to cost a heck of a lot of money next season?
Yeah.
Do you go, right, we'll leave midfield, but let's try and invest heavily into a goalkeeping situation? But Crookie just explained what's difficult with that. Do you get a stopgap? Do you get someone on loan? Do you try and go big for Adam Morton? I saw Crookie sort of spoke about that on X and broke that sort of story.
Yeah.
Where do we go with 2 weeks left?
It's difficult, because when you look at that Manchester United squad from last season, there was so much that needed to be done, so much, and that just goes to show we're not scoring goals. We signed these 3 forwards, but now there's gaps everywhere else. There was a glaringly obvious problem in centre midfield still for me. I'm not going to heap as much praise as Casemiro as you did. I know you were kind of on the fence with him. I don't think.
What did you say? Was winning in treacle?
Yeah, there was an incident midway through the second half when he was trying to catch Martin Odegaard.
Yeah.
And he was like me trying to catch him.
No,
he can't do that.
He was
He
doing
can't do that.
like he was doing struggling running.
Yeah.
When your arms are going,
Yeah,
really
he's
trying to
trying
make the
that.
difference.
But
That's
then
how you knew it
I'll
was.
match you one though. There was a time when Odegaard was bearing down on the goal in the 10 and Casemiro's nicked it off him,
Yes.
took it back and sprayed it to Mbeumo, and then we're on the attack. So what I mean is if the gaps are
Hit and
big,
miss, though.
he's not the answer.
No, he's
he
not.
has to go, right? But what I'm saying is he surprised me because I thought he would be like a 1 or 2 out of 10. The Casemiro falling over.
I think off the bench to do a job. Look, we can keep Casa, but I still think there is a disconnect in midfield, and Bruno was good. He was spraying out passes. He needs a good partner, but goalkeeper's got to be the answer. It just has to be. So whether that's a loan deal or something, I'm not sure. But like Anna said, I'm going to echo that. There was really good performances today, but the goalkeeper just lets that down. So I just hope that we can do that. Whether it's a loan deal, whether it's a permanent deal. And as far as Baleba goes, your question there, I think if we can't do it this summer, we have to move on. We can't hold out for one player. I think he's the perfect answer, but we have to move on from him and potentially get an Adam Wharton.
Yeah, again, I think it'll be just as
Good luck with
difficult
that.
to prize Adam Wharton away from Palace as it
I
did
know.
Baleba out of Brighton. And I was quite sceptical about the Belieber links right from the start, to be honest, because I speak to people at Brighton.
Yeah.
They were telling me very early on that we're not going to catch
We
him.
ain't selling
It's
him.
going to take huge money because they know in a year's time,
Yeah.
if he has another season this year like he did last, there's going to be more than just one club at the table. And they're talking Moises Caicedo money. I think what United have done, and actually it's quite clever, because I don't think they expected to sign him this summer either. They've gone in early and said, look, we're not going to get you now, but we were the first to show an interest.
Yeah.
You know, just remember, we were there from the outset.
And the reports have said,
Sounds
you know,
like
he was
it's
open to the move,
Yeah.
but, you know, just not going to agitate to leave.
Why would you not be?
Yeah.
You know, no disrespect to Brighton, brilliant club. You're not going to stay at Brighton and turn down Manchester United if you really have a choice. But just on the goalkeeper, I do wonder, right? We've spoken about Donnarumma, and it does look like Ederson is going to go to Galatasaray, and
Yeah.
then Man City probably come in. If that
Poor
does,
old James Trafford.
but if that doesn't happen, and PSG clearly don't want him, and I don't think they want him around the changing room,
No, he can't go
having
back.
discarded
Can't
him.
go back.
You mentioned a loan deal.
Yeah.
Mm.
If we get right to the end of the window and he's still available, then maybe that loan deal is not quite so fanciful.
Listen, you're giving me hope. Don't give me hope, Crookie. But I think that's the way to go, because we cannot go on to this season with Bayindir and Onana and potentially having to look at Heaton. I mean, Heaton is the best option of those three. He's the only one who's Premier League proven. Let's be completely honest about this. Those two keepers are not Premier League proven, and we've said it time and time and time again, and it's cost us today. I'm still absolutely fuming about it.
It is. It was a really annoying one.
Yeah.
But defensively, you know, organisationally, structurally, what did you make of the work that's been done over the summer with what you saw? Did you see a team that was that a team that you saw sort of in Ruben Amorim's image, or is it too far to say that? Hold your horses, Flex. Is it that, or did you see something that you can go, I can invest into this actually?
I think definitely you can always invest into it. I would say the back three looked great. Putting my neutral cap on, the whole De Ligt Gyökeres kind of like physical battle, that was quite enjoyable to watch. But already said about Luke Shaw, Lenny Yoro. I mean, is this the first bit of recruitment in quite a while that could actually pay off? Like, he does actually seem to be the real deal.
Yeah.
Dorgu, I know I've given him a hard time before. You know, you saw him at pre-season.
On him, is he beginning to prove it? Because
He's
you
fooling me a little bit.
no, because we have to talk about it. You were right at the front of
Yeah,
the queue.
I wasn't
Like,
happy.
nah, not for me. No, is that
Yep.
what we're doing? 20 years? No, is he starting to?
Yes,
Turn the
starting
screw
to
for
grow
you.
me a little bit.
A little bit.
Still got to wait and see. You know, still early
Oh,
days.
So harsh. Come on, he was good.
But I think he got himself into some really good positions today. Obviously, Dallo, we know Dallo. You spoke to Dallo.
Yeah.
Great player, a great servant for Manchester United so far.
Yeah.
Obviously, you know, getting Ahmad in that position, I think, is also great. But I think overall, you could see what they were trying to do with Arsenal. It seemed like there was a really good structure in place. They seemed a lot more organised. There seems to be a lot more communication. And you've got to think, you know, you look at Cunha and Mbumo, Zeshko, different levels. They've only been there a certain period of time. You know, that communication will come. Cunha getting frustrated, wanting the ball in certain areas, that will come with time.
You saw in Brumo sort of when he was linking up with Ahmad, passes under hit a little bit over hit. Like they're trying to get on the right wavelength. They
But you
knew, right?
saw, like, some of the touches of Mbumo
Yeah.
and Cunha and the positions that they were getting themselves into, the spaces that they were running into, we've not seen something like that.
It was really
for a
refreshing,
very
wasn't
long
it?
time.
To see
It
them take the
was.
ball on a half turn and have Arsenal sort of backpending.
Oh.
Cunha really did a gigs, didn't
He
he?
did. Oh, it was
Ran all the way through.
incredible.
Unbelievable.
And
Oh, that
there was
run.
one after like minute 2 or something, and the balls and Bruno just plucked it.
Oh, yeah.
And he did that against Fiorentina as well. He's been
that's
doing that.
confidence as well, though.
Yeah.
So this early on, they're only hopefully going to get better.
I agree.
The team is going to mesh more.
Mm.
Zeshko's going to get a little bit more comfortable as well. So I think overall there's definitely a lot of positives. And I like the idea of the Donnarumma situation. I know that there's a lot of conversation about what he can do with the ball at his feet, etc. But surely somebody...
Get that, mate.
Get it.
Surely,
Get that.
exactly.
We've been
Surely
there now.
somebody who was so instrumental. I mean, the beginning of the Champions League campaign wasn't amazing, but towards the end of that Champions League campaign, he really grew into that. This is a player who isn't afraid of, I mean, there's not going to be any competition, let's be completely honest, with the other goalkeepers. But, you know, when he went to PSG, you know, he was like, what, 22 years of age? He got into it with Keylor Navas. Those two were battling it out. I think the writing was on the wall at PSG with the guy that they've brought in, Chevalier, who doesn't look amazing. I mean, he didn't have the best game against Spurs, but he's considered France's next number one.
Yeah.
So the kind of opinion is, I
Back
don't
to
know, tell
them,
me if I'm wrong, but the opinion is, you know, the France number one should be at the French team, you know, the top team of PSG. So I think the writing was on the wall for a little bit. They've kind of traded in, even though he's only like, what, 27, they've kind of traded him in for a shinier new toy, which I get is frustrating. But I think he's also got something to prove. And whilst it wouldn't be European football, I think, proving himself in the Premier League with Manchester United with this huge project, it's got to be appealing.
Go get him.
Looking forward to Fulham then, Crookie.
Tough game.
Tough game. It always is at Craven Cottage, but we seem to just nick it. Last year deflected at Martinez's shot. Year before that,
Garnacho's got a late winner there, hasn't
Garnacho's
he?
late goal. No, he's not going to be playing. But it's always a tough job there. But we usually get over the line. What changes would you be looking to make? Do you go more attacking? So do you not need the Dallo in there? You go with Ahmad. Do you hopefully Sesho can start 4 weeks training? Do you get Kobe Mainu in there, be a bit more on the front foot? What changes would you make?
Yeah, I'd imagine that Šeško with another week under his belt will be primed to start that. Although it's Burnley at home, isn't it? After that, so maybe they might feel that's a better full Premier League debut. Mason Mount didn't do a lot wrong, in fairness. But yeah, definitely Ahmad in for Dallo. Dallo was solid enough to that. I'm still not convinced we're quite seeing the best version of Dallo. We certainly didn't last season. And in midfield, listen, I'm a fully paid up member of the Kobe Mainu fan club. You remember at the Euros, I was advocating for him to play in that midfield when Gareth Southgate was starting Trent Alexander-Arnold and Conor Gallagher ahead of him. And he had a brilliant Euros. He's not kicked on. And I feel like he feels unloved by this manager. I've spoken to people close to Kobe, and they feel like maybe the manager doesn't back him, and I think that's quite a sad
But you can see by the selection, right? No matter what anyone says, he's a great kid. I think he's this. When it gets to 3 p.m. on a Saturday, as you say, your team sheet shows you who you think, and you're right. He's out of the team more than he's in it.
Yeah, but I think he's got quality, and I think he just needs an arm around the shoulder. So I'd love to see him come into midfield, probably for Casemiro. Yes, that's quite an attacking lineup, but let's go and take the game to Fulham. Because we don't want to nick it, as we always do at Craven. You want to go there and make a statement. I do feel we're not top 4 contenders.
No,
I don't think.
No,
but we are contenders for 5th.
Yeah.
And actually, I think
We've got aim for that.
The gap between the sort of top 7, maybe top 8, because Spurs were quite good on Saturday as well. But who were they playing? And the rest is going to be starker this year. I think the top teams are going to put less aside the sword in a way that maybe they didn't last year. And we need to do that.
Yeah. Right, to finish off, Ryan, I don't normally do this, but I just need one name from all of you. We did lose the game, so I don't like doing man of the matches when we've lost. However, it's the first episode of the first game, for Inside Devils. We want a positive season.
Yeah.
We want to draw for some positives. Give me a man of the match for today.
Do you know what? I'm going to go for Luke Shaw.
Luke Shaw,
He was all over it. He was first to every ball. He didn't look like he put a foot out of place. And the redemption story, I'm here for it because I think he's a player. So
Luke Shaw. Ange?
I think I'll go with Mbumo.
Yeah,
I think that he was in and amongst it the whole game. I think he looked really strong. He looked confident, like I say. So, yeah, I would probably go with him.
Cunha for me, because I think in the last decade we've signed a lot of players who suffer from imposter syndrome. They don't believe they belong in a Manchester United shirt. He believes he belongs. And I think he's befitting of a Manchester United number 10.
Yep, to keep the positivity going, we've got all different answers then, because I agree with everything you said. I'm going to give it to De Ligt.
Oh,
because
nice.
with all of the hype of Victor Gyökeres coming in and us seeing the Bain celebration and all of that, he was right in his pocket and he was fantastic. Could have also been Mason Mount as well. Guys, let us know what you think about the game. Let us know how you're feeling about what you saw. Are we being too positive, actually? Are you feeling more like a Roy Keane? How the mighty have fallen. The standards are on the floor. Are we just too excited because the standards have been on the floor? Or are we completely justified in picking out the good bits and taking that into Craven Cottage? This episode was brought to you by talkSPORT Bet, and head over to talksportbet.com/Inside Devils for a big offer on signing up. Get involved, guys.